Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 2 of the Reviewpoint podcast, coming to you from fanboysanonymous.com. I am your host, the man who calls the shots over at Fanboys Anonymous, Tony Mango, and with me on the panel tonight, we have one of the fanboys here, Tom Jackson,
Hello.
and one of the fangirls here, Caitlin Dooley.
Eh.
So, if you're unfamiliar with how Review Point works, it's pretty simple. We break down whatever is in our sights for this episode and review whether or not different parts were a hit or a miss, otherwise known as a positive or negative, good or bad, whatever you want to call it. We're going all gimmicky here, so that's why we have a lot of these little kind of phrases, such as the next one coming up, which I'm going to do quite often until everybody gets annoyed with about it. Our target for this edition is Maleficent, a movie that has just recently come out, and it's a retelling of the whole story of Sleeping Beauty. So Disney people are either going to love it or hate it, depending on how much they love Sleeping Beauty. Warning, there will be spoilers throughout here, so if you have not seen the movie yet and don't wish to know what happens, bookmark this, go watch the movie, and then come back. Or if you really want to know whether or not you should see it and you don't care about spoilers, then get ready for what we're going to talk about. So, let's just get right into this kind of stuff here. We're going to kind of go random topics back and forth, and each time that we bring up a new topic, we're going to give a little recap and tell you guys what we think is a hit or a miss in regards to that. So, in general, let's start off. Basic idea of the movie in general, repeating myself there, but your overall thoughts. Was it a hit or a miss? Did you like it? Did you not like it? Tom?
I was severely underwhelmed. I think all the trailers building up to it, Angelina Jolie was just a perfect cast for this movie, and it looked pretty exciting, but behind all kind of the Disney magic and the great CG was just no story.
So you're going with a miss?
Colossal miss. Like, bigger miss than Battleship.
Ouch. That's pretty bad. Caitlin, hit or miss? What are your general thoughts about the movie?
I think it's a hit. I personally liked it. I like how generally Disney's straying away from the whole "one true love is the first kiss" kind of thing. So I thought that was really interesting, and I don't know. I just like how they did it overall.
Well, this is going to be an interesting kind of setup here because we got one miss, one hit, and damn if I am not annoyed that I set up this as only hit or miss that you can pick, because I used to, back in the old days of the Review Point thing, I used to have a maybe kind of a spot in the center, which was a ricochet, but that just seemed a little bit too awkward, so that's why I got rid of it. And that's where I would have put this. So, man, I don't know what I'm going to go with for here. So actually, I'm going to skip answering that, and I'm going to come back and I'm going to make a final judgment at the end of this podcast. Spoiler alert. Stay tuned. That'll end up happening.
Challenge accepted.
So you guys will end up convincing me one way or another. First topic that I'd like to bring up here is just a general breakdown of characters. Maleficent, let's just start off with her. I thought that in general was a hit. She was a lot more likable than I expected her to be, and actually one of the main reasons why I saw this movie was I was curious how they were going to take what is supposed to be one of the biggest villains from Disney and turn her into a protagonist, because part of me was going into it thinking it would be so funny if little kids go to watch this thinking that Maleficent is the hero, and it turns out that we're just watching, like a Tarantino movie or something like that, where even though they're the protagonists, they're certainly not good people. And, we'll end up following the evil person and she'll kill people, and it'll just be like, oh my God, what's happening to me? But she ended up being actually pretty likable, and I think that's probably entirely due to Angelina Jolie and her involvement in this movie. She went from somebody who had completely a boring story at the very beginning, I thought, and kind of lackluster characterization when she was still a little kid, to somebody who their motivations were justified, and when she acted in some kind of an evil manner, either she was completely justified in doing it, or she went overboard and she understood that she went overboard and then regretted it afterwards. So um, that ended up being actually one of the best high points of the movie. So that's going to get a hit from me, Maleficent herself. Tom, what do you think about Maleficent?
I think, like you said, they found a good character in there. I thought they pushed kind of the fallen angel thing quite a bit, like a little too much for me. But I think the parts where I enjoyed this movie were probably 95% Maleficent. I mean, the humor with like the annoying little babies, and she would just give it all these deadpans, like "Leave me alone" or "I don't like you." I thought those were some of the best parts of the movie. Like you said, I think they found interesting ways to give her character the motivation she had, like the reason for the spell and why she could fall asleep and stuff like that. I just wish there was more of it. I mean, there was a good like 30 to 40 minutes of that movie where she's not the protagonist and Aurora the princess is, and she's just like demoted to Edward Cullen watching from the distance.
That's true. Caitlin?
So my biggest gripe with Maleficent is there wasn't enough Maleficent. I would only, honestly though, like without the sarcasm, I would liken her to how much Superman we got in Man of Steel. Like she was present, but I didn't feel like she was a really driving force of the film. She was just kind of there.
Now you're talking Superman, or you're talking Clark Kent?
Or
are you talking
Superman,
brooding Clark
Kal,
Kent who
Kal
acts
El
more like
Kent,
Batman?
any manifestation of him. Just she didn't have a lot of dialogue. Like she just was kind of this person that was around.
Your thoughts, Caitlin? Hit or miss for Maleficent, the character itself?
I think it's definitely a hit, and I completely agree with everything you just said. I just wish she had more lines. So I thought everything that they actually gave her was so good, and I just wanted to hear more.
I actually really liked the one thing that you brought up throughout the movie was that deadpan delivery. I think maybe only once during the whole film did I actually laugh out loud, and that was with the line, "I hate you," to the baby. I was just like, okay, that's good. You got me for that one. Somebody in the audience ended up laughing really hard at a point that was not funny at all. I don't remember what it was. It wasn't
Was it
like,
a guy?
It was a guy.
I had like a weird 50-year-old guy like behind me who just laughed at. I don't know. He was way too into it.
I think that it was like a 50-year-old guy for me too.
See, I'm telling everybody's got one.
That's really awkward. That's really specific. He laughed at something that wasn't supposed to be funny at all. Like it wasn't the mudslinging. It wasn't like the baby jokes or anything like that. It was something really, really dumb. Like
Well, that's pretty much the whole movie.
Basically.
It was, I can't remember what it was, but if I can think of it later on, I'll bring it back up. But he laughed, and he laughed this big belly uproarious laugh, just like.
Oh, that's horrible. Maybe he was a plant. Maybe he works for Disney.
Maybe if he was a plant, and it's the same person that ended up falling asleep later, then they lost their job because somebody snored about 3/4 of the way through the movie. So Maleficent, obviously, the whole movie revolves around her, except for the points where she just kind of stands off on the side. Other characters, there's Aurora, who naturally is, the Sleeping Beauty. And I gotta admit, kind of a miss. It wasn't that I really disliked her, but I really didn't like the idea that they were so heavy-handed with the whole, like, isn't she beautiful? Isn't she charming? Isn't she? And it's like, I get it. Like, and she's just, like, smiling and everything. Like, somebody could tell her.
Gosh. All she did for 80% of that movie was smile.
Smile and, like, giggle a little bit. And
well, she did have that spell on her.
Yeah, that was, like, psychotic, though.
So, yeah, I'll make your daughter a creepy little bitch.
Like, even in the face of danger, she'll
smile at everything. Trees, acorns, who gives a shit?
Right? We got a deleted scene where somebody comes up to her and they're like, "Oh, Aurora, I have bad news. I have AIDS," and she's just smiling, just like,
really?
"Oh, that's a shame.
What's wrong with you?
That's a shame, but isn't it a lovely day?
Yeah, right.
Isn't the sun just beautiful? Smell these
like
flowers."
How stupefied she was at fucking everything. Yeah. Maleficent's like, "This is my garden with my stream. Wow, amazing.
Wow, there's water. Water
like
is so great."
Like, where'd the deadpan go? If she thought the baby was ugly, she like, how did? Oh, man, I was like ripping my hair out. It was horrible.
So that was kind of bothersome, but at the same time, she did a good enough job, or well, I should say the writers did a good enough job, that they balanced her out enough where I didn't want to see her get killed, which a lot of the times movies will do that. And the super cool character or the super interesting guy or something like that, I'll just be like, yeah, he's a douche. Why don't you just decapitate him already? So I didn't want her to die in this, which was good, but something that I mentioned in my review, which you can read on fanboysanonymous.com, little plug there, that I think the reason why part of me liked her is because I felt sorry for Maleficent and I didn't want something to happen to Aurora because it would have sucked for Maleficent. It's just kind of a shame to be like, yeah, don't kill the girl because that'll make her sad. If she hates the girl, yeah, then you could kill her.
Only this was written by George R.R. Martin.
Plot twist: everyone dies.
Yeah.
Just be like, everybody's naked. It's amazing. Tom, your thoughts on Aurora? Hit or miss?
I think just total miss. Just like what a wuss. I mean, to go off Caitlin's comments, I think there was like some nice, little bit more modern feel to this, like that goofy little baby scenes, and she was a little more with the deadpan. Then obviously at the end we get a much more modern scene, which to me was a little too Frozen. But then you get this like princess who's just this like goofball. I mean, to me she didn't even have any character. She was just like, again, she was just driven by a plot. She just kind of went where the story told her to, and then enjoyed the things she saw, and then she went to sleep. As actually, well, I mean, she did a great job sleeping. I'll settle there. Loved all the scenes when she was asleep. She nailed it.
She had the eyes closed. She had
the eyes closed. She, more importantly, had her mouth shut and not smiling.
That would have been fucking hilarious
that was
if she was just like smiling in the middle of sleep. It's like, you're in a death-like slumber. Yeah, but it's a good slumber. I'd like to see the behind the scenes material where they're like, all right, what's my motivation for the scene? All right, in this scene, you're bubbly and giggly. All right, what was the difference from the other scene? I don't know. Action.
Well, and then, so what's my motivation here? Okay, you're really tired, so you're asleep. And you just stay asleep.
Caitlin, hit or miss with Aurora?
Miss.
Any particular reasons why?
I just hated
it.
Same reason.
I just can't stop laughing at that sleeping joke. No, because now I'm picturing her smiling as she's sleeping.
I had a good dream there, godmother. We all thought that you were fucking dead. Why are you smiling? But I'm not dead.
At least I'm not tired anymore.
Yeah.
Oh, that
I
was
could go look at more things.
This was a comfy bed, by the way. That pillow was really sweet.
Can you imagine the kingdom? Our lost princess has been found, and they say she's a beauty. Really? Who is she? There, behind that creepy smiling girl? No, she is the creepy smiling girl.
It's like, she sends them off to war. She's just like, okay, guys, it sucks, but well, I shouldn't say it sucks. That's kind of mean. But we gotta go fight these people, and
it'll be great.
For no fucking reason.
You'll have fun. Toodles.
It'll be wonderful. Have fun.
Half of the warrior army comes back dead and maimed, and she's just like, oh, guys, oh, your stuff is all scuffed up. Want me to go clean that for you? We'll get it nice and shiny. Let's move on to her father here, Stefan. Or somebody referred to him as just Stefan once in the movie. I don't remember who it was, but it was Stefan. And then one character just
that
like...
guy from SNL. The gay guy that gives the commentary in all the nightclubs in SNL, Stefan.
Stefan. There's just one dude in the background who's just like, yo, Steve, what's up? So Stefan, what a jerk, huh? What a heartless asshole.
For a Disney movie?
Right.
He was just a watered down version of himself from Elysium.
For a second there, I thought we were watching Game of Thrones.
Seriously, dude was freaking intense. Well, especially when he grabs those chains, and I didn't understand why he had chains until you realize he used them to burn through her wings.
Right. I didn't get it at first either. I was just kind of like, wait, is he gonna like Garrett her?
I thought he was just gonna like cut him off, but
yeah, that would have been intense. But then the burning thing,
But how does she not feel any of that?
I guess it was
magic
supposed to be
potion.
like that was a really strong roofie that she took or whatever the
Yeah,
hell it was.
Oh yeah,
Just-
I forgot about that.
It's like when you take like a whole bunch of Ambien or something like that, you give her the whole bottle
So
to
you
make
can't
sure.
feel two of your limbs being burned off.
Well, I thought that he was just gonna cut off like one of the feathers because he was kind of like looking through the whole thing, and I was just like, oh, he's like looking for, a feather to cut off or something like that, and that'll be it. Because I did not. We were talking before we started this podcast, and I mentioned it during the review. I have not seen Sleeping Beauty in God knows how many years, maybe 12 years or more or so. Actually, probably even more. It might have been like 15 years or so.
You don't have to
Um,
lie. You probably watched it a couple weeks ago.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm watching it right now.
A smile on my face.
So I went into this movie with really not many memories of that. I remembered that Sleeping Beauty slept and she woke up from a kiss and Maleficent turned into a dragon and I thought that she died from falling off a cliff or something like that. And that's really all I could remember. I didn't even remember that the fairies existed in this. I didn't remember the name of Sleeping Beauty. I didn't remember the name of the prince. I thought it was Prince Charming. Turns out that's Cinderella. Uh, I'll give myself a little bit of credit. I knew Aladdin wasn't in it.
Simba, what are you doing here?
Right. So
That's probably what you thought the dad falling off the cliff was.
maybe I was just thinking of
Aw.
Mufasa, which is a better movie. But
Nicolas Cage did not make an appearance.
Thank God.
so
I would have rather he played Sleeping Beauty.
that would have been a really, really awkward kiss scene, though.
Might as well.
So I was going by basically the trailer, and I was wrongly thinking that I had seen scenes from the trailer of her flying that I hadn't seen yet at that point. So at that point where they were getting ready to cut off the wings, I'm like, oh, he's not going to cut off the wings because she's got to fly in like 3 more scenes or something like that. And then when, she wakes up and she's crying and she's got no wings, I'm just like, well, there goes that theory. She ain't flying the rest of this movie. Until the end, of course, because, that was pretty obvious that they were going to give her wings back. You can't do something metaphorically like that and then just be like, nope, screwed, they burned them or something.
Can I just say, that whole part with her wings in the cage and starts flapping around, whatever, I thought it was part of Harry Potter for a second. It just reminded me of something that you would see in that movie.
The
You know,
room of
that
requirement.
actually does, yeah.
I thought that was so fucked up. He sits there in a room and looks at his the dismembered parts of his ex-girlfriend.
And he's just talking to it.
Yeah, that was nuts.
But how rude of that other guy, though. He saw that he was in a conversation and he interrupted.
I'm talking to my wings.
Can't you see him in a conversation? All right. Well, I hope that those wings are good company. So, meanwhile, we're gonna go fight some war or something, dude. And your wife's dying, but you're a jerk in this movie, so it doesn't matter, right? So yeah, he was an ass, and that actually helped make Maleficent likable. Because if he wasn't such an ass, I probably would have rooted for him for part of the movie. Because when he first cut off the wings, part of me thought, you know what? At least he didn't kill her. He was trying to, I don't know, have his cake and eat it too, sort of. But then, of course, it gets more and more insane, and then it's like, well, there goes trying to support this guy.
I think I would have liked the movie that was just the two of them more than all the Sleeping Beauty stuff. I mean, I know Sleeping Beauty's the kicker, but like it opens with like, okay, there's this cool magical fairy world, la di da di da, and there's this human world that like wants to steal all their gems and stuff. I guess I don't really know. They want to like pillage it for things, which I guess that's cool. And there's kind of the whole opposite sides of the warring faction thing, and then there's just like a montage of their relationship, so that we just assume they like each other, and then he cuts off the wings.
Yeah, I wish they delved further into why he betrayed her.
They used like
Other
two
than-
montages. Like I could have seen the kid, because I saw where they were going with it. Okay, poor boy. I guess we never really explained this. He was a poor boy who was like, probably a yeoman, and he looks up at the castle, and when he's a little boy, he tells Maleficent someday he'll be king. Then he finds out essentially the only way to become king is to defeat Maleficent. So he fakes defeating her by cutting off her wings after he drugs her. But it's just a lot. Like there's so much rich, interesting character stuff there, and then it's just like a montage.
Yeah.
It's kind of a shame they didn't have a theme song to go with the montage.
Not a single theme song. I mean, it's better than, at least it didn't use Philip Phillips like fucking Spider-Man 2.
Well, they should have just used the South Park montage theme. That would have worked. We're gonna need a montage, Stefan.
They had like 2 montages, didn't they?
Well,
I thought there were like 2, because I think there was one when she was like running around just watching little Aurora through trees and stuff like that.
yeah, they cut through 16 years in about maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes.
Right, and then you just meet them again, and it's just like, I really like you now. Why? She's the embodiment of everything you hate.
Right.
Oh,
There's a
well.
lot of evil in this world, but you got pretty hair. The sun, beautiful.
I would like to read Maleficent's dialogue, like the pedophile guy from Family Guy. Hey there, Beastie, I like your hair.
Is Beastie something from Sleepy Beauty?
I don't know. The only thing I remember was that scene when they fight with colors, and then the only thing I remember from Sleeping Beauty is that, and when the guy gets the sword.
Can't help you there. I don't remember when the guy gets the sword.
That's like that's pretty much all I remember from every Disney movies. Unless the guy's got the sword, I got nothing. Really boring heterosexual male like that. I just, oh, cool weapons. All right, I'm in.
The sword. All right, now obviously we know where this is going to go. Stab, stab.
Poke, poke, poke.
I can't deny that. I'm the same type of kid when I was little, making guns out of pieces of toast or bananas or whatever the fuck. Everything's a weapon.
I used to wear a sword on my waist to church every weekend.
I'm sure there's a photo of me somewhere because I know that I wore it enough of me going around in public dressed up as Batman.
That's what this movie needed, more Batman.
Yes, it did.
Sorry, guys, I wasn't in the movie.
So I'm going to give Stefan a hit. I think if you didn't have him be that type of a jerk and you didn't have at least some kind of motivation there, although as we touched upon, it should have been built upon a little bit more, then the whole movie wouldn't have worked. So he gets a hit from me. Tom, hit or miss?
Like you said, I think he was just a great bad guy you love to hate. I loved his Sauron armor at the end, or Sauron armor at the end with the spikes on the back for no reason, just to be villainous black spikes. So I'm going to give him a total hit, and I really wish he beat Maleficent.
So we didn't have Batman, but we had Shredder.
Super Shredder, I dare say.
Oh, there's Kevin Nash for you. Caitlin, hit or miss?
I guess hit.
Same reasons?
Basically, yeah. I don't know, he just wasn't my favorite, but I also give him a hit.
I'm going to transition this from, instead of just talking about one specific character, to something in general, because this brings up a point that I ended up making one of my big miss things throughout this movie. And I'm really curious to get your opinion on this, especially Caitlin. Men are bastards in this movie. There's not a single guy who is not some kind of a negative part of this movie. Stefan, we already established, heartless jerk who is greedy and abusive and essentially, I mean, the metaphor is not lost, essentially date rapes Maleficent. Then you've got the king who was before him and his soldiers. They're just total warmongers. And the king is even on his deathbed and he says like, oh, all you bastards are waiting for me to die and I fucking know it. So it's like, they're not even loyal to the king that they're willing to go fight for and everything. The big tree creatures are masculine and they're brainless brutes. Tiaval, who we'll talk about a little bit more when we break down some more characters, he's the dirty servant who's just like, oh, I could be turned into a dog, like men are dogs, that kind of a thing. And then you've got Prince Phillips, a mimbo.
Oh, total just One Direction wannabe.
A moron klutz. Like, seems like a nice guy. Seems like he could be a little honorable or whatever like that. And it's like, complete idiot.
Why do you think there was so much war in the Dark Ages? King Philip, what do we do? I don't know.
I don't know. My girlfriend smiles at everything, and that seems like that's okay. Like,
Just riding through the woods lost on a white horse.
Can you ever imagine those two ruling two kingdoms where everything's optimistic for her, and then when people are like, oh my god, we need somebody with some sense, Prince Philip, can you help us out here? And he's like, duh, I don't know.
There's been a famine for 3 years. Oh.
When did
Oh
I
my
get to
gosh,
the
all the women are
castle?
dead.
You've been in the castle for like 10 years, dude. You've been our king for all this time. I didn't know.
He's the best that the royal resources could churn out. That's the best they got.
So that was a shame. Of course, that's me being like trying to be hypocritical and trying to
Don't be
be,
jealous.
as rude and as much criticism I guess I could possibly get. Of course, that was not something that they meant to do. Which, if they did mean to do that, they fucking pulled it off. So, Tom, did you think that throughout the movie too? Being a guy, like, did that kind of bother you? I mean, it didn't bother me, but you know what I mean?
I didn't really care. I guess I didn't mind it as much because Angelina Jolie, like, she was a good like authority. Like, whenever she thought like she had a fucking plan, I'd be like, all right, whatever you say. You got a crazy leather helmet hat on. I'm not gonna fuck with you. I didn't think Theobald was that bad. I think he was like the quintessential kind of right hand man. He just kind of was there for commentary to do what she said. But I guess like, and I'm a big supporter of the tree guys. I went to that movie for those tree guys.
Really?
Yeah, see, that's the thing with these these like modern live action Disney princess movies. I always think have really interesting character design, and then just like no actual movies. Like they put these like cool things in like the trailers, like oh cool, like an army pig stag crazy war battle. I'll pay $10 to see that, and it's in there for like 2 minutes. But to get back to the earlier point and not totally freak out about how much I like high concept stuff, yeah, I guess I mean I thought most of the characters in this movie were passive, so I guess all the fact that the guys weren't these great swashbuckling heroes, I guess didn't really surprise me that much. But again, I think the villains are what made this movie. I thought the scenes with the king really felt real, and that really enabled Stefan's motivation. Like that if that's how the king is, imagine what he was brought up in. That king's the embodiment of what that guy just daydreams about and what he lusts after, and that's it.
Good point. So, female perspective, Caitlin, what do you think about that? Do you think that that's something that popped in your mind throughout the movie, or?
I have no idea, honestly.
It didn't hit me until after the movie was over with, and then I started thinking about it.
No, but I think you're harping on something. I mean, the fact is it's 2014, and there's got to be a point where Disney starts modernizing. I mean, everyone can't be like all the girls can't be bimbos, and all the guys can't have like enormous chests and really believe in chivalry and honor and all that stuff.
No, I actually think that ended up being. I mean, I give that a miss in theory, but it's like I said, it's me like joking around giving it a miss. I'm glad that Maleficent ended up being somebody who wasn't just like dependent upon a man or something like that, because it's like that's stupid. Every fucking movie needs to do that. No, like I'm somebody who I make this argument a lot when I see a lot of things when people go like, oh well, anything a man can do, a woman could do better, or like, oh, women are pointless for different stuff. And to me, it's always like, why can't there just be equality for stuff? Like, it doesn't make sense to me why you can't have equal grounds. Like, why can't there be a Wonder Woman movie now that they're doing this kind of stuff where it's like, oh, Wonder Woman's not appealing to people. She's fucking Wonder Woman. Give her a fucking movie. Like,
right.
I would much rather see a Wonder Woman movie than this stupid ass project that they're working on of the Metal Men. I don't want to see the Metal Men. I think it's stupid as hell. Give me Wonder Woman and have Wonder Woman kick ass and make Steve Trevor look like he needs Wonder Woman's help, because that's the character.
You would rather see a superpowered female demigod than an army of men made out of assorted metals from the periodic table?
Yes.
What are you thinking? I can't wait to see Nickel on the big screen. Give
me the third biggest character from the DC pantheon over Magnesium Man, or whatever the fuck he is. So there's a lot of people that always criticize movies, and they go back and forth between misogynist men that criticize movies like the Resident Evil ones, and they're like, oh, why is there a woman fighting in there? Because there's a fucking woman. Who cares? Just go see the movie. If you don't like the movie, then you don't like the movie. I don't like the movies, but that's because I don't like Resident Evil. But I like
more money than Green Lantern.
Yeah, it's like, but I like Kill Bill, and never pisses me off at all when I watch Kill Bill to think that she's beating the crap out of Bill or whatever. Good, she's the protagonist. She should. And then there's also the opposite side when there's people that are more on the all men suck kind of train, and it's like, oh well, we got to show. Well, this is actually I'm getting into another thing here that we can kind of tie into Maleficent too, but the mentality that some producers have, which really bothers me, when they go, okay, well, we gotta make this female character look like she can do whatever a guy can do, and it's like, well, you don't need to make her do that. Just have her do it. Like, I
Right.
don't question the fact that Black Widow kicks ass in the Avengers because she's a shield agent. She doesn't have to be like one-upping Hawkeye and being like, see, because I'm a woman, I did whatever. It's like, well, I like her better than Hawkeye. Hawkeye can go fuck off. Like, so I was really glad that in this movie, Maleficent was able to hold that on her own, and that she didn't need to be some kind of a dependable kind of I don't want to say like damsel in distress because it's more of Aurora's situation, but she didn't fall into those categories, and even Aurora didn't to an extent. She wasn't just, "Where's the prince? He should come save me." Oh wait, he tripped over his own sword and stabbed himself because he's an idiot. So that was good. That's kind of my actual thing instead of the jokey all men are bastards thing. So for anybody who's like pissed off about that, it's all lighthearted. Um, you brought up the creatures though, Tom, and you said that you were really fond of that. So that gets a hit for you, the different creature designs.
Yeah, I was really. I thought. I mean, I'm talking mostly about the army in the beginning. I didn't care for like the little obese troll toad things that
Okay,
much.
there you go, because that's what I was going to get into.
Yeah, those weren't fun at all. But the big set pieces, that big.
The big
Anyone who hasn't
tree
seen the movie,
thing on the hog.
what's that?
That big tree thing on the hog.
Yeah, with like this giant stone lance thing, and
That was pretty sick.
they were pretty awesome. Like pretty much everything that looks good about this movie, 90% of what looks good about this movie in the trailer is in the first 10 minutes. But those parts to me, that was to me, there was like a lot there. That was a lot of fun. That even in like Snow White and the Huntsman had kind of two scenes with a similar aesthetic. That made it worth it for me. So I think more of that and this could have been an excellent movie.
Now I didn't see Snow White and the Huntsman. Do they have the dwarves in that?
Yeah, they had because they weren't played by midgets and it was this huge to do. But
What,
yeah,
who
they
got
had them.
pissed about that?
They rescued them from the evil forest, and they went to this mystical forest, and there was this giant magical stag, and they fought all kinds of magic creatures, and it was, I mean, it's essentially like if you ever wanted like a darker version of The Hobbit that wasn't like super kid booky, it was kind of that for like 5 minutes.
I never liked.
Again, like, I can
Snow
see
White.
where the proof of concept is in a lot of these things in those moments. But then they just get rid of it all. Like apparently there's a whole fucking war between fairies and humans. That sounds compelling, and then we just get rid of it.
So I'm really glad you brought up those little fucking obese troll things, because
Yeah.
you're gonna talk about a miss. Those things.
They're the worst part of Star Wars brought back around. No one thought it was funny when Jar Jar Binks slings shit like a fucking monkey. And then Disney invents a whole species to do it.
It kind of made me think it was Dobby from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
Just
definitely
ate
has
way too much. Because those things were hideous. And
I thought they were cute.
oh, you gotta be kidding me. You did?
I did.
Like the whole sling in the mud and then
I thought that was adorable.
oh god, I would have killed those things so fast if I
Yeah,
was
you
in
fat
that.
little piece of shit. I would have curb stomped that fucking little fat Dobby elephant.
God, where's that scene in the movie where somebody curb stomps it?
Yeah, come on, be a modern woman, Maleficent.
They're like, we're gonna invent curbs for this purpose.
Well, especially, I mean, it took her, what, like 3 seconds to conquer the entire fairy kingdom?
Yeah.
Probably because 90... See, that's the big conceit of the fairy kingdom. They have, like, 30 really cool Ent warriors and a bunch of fat asses. Oh, and then one random Hydra thing that never comes back again.
What was that? I don't remember that.
There was one point during that fight, there was that big... It kind of looked like a drake, kind of like a dragon, but it was real long and slender that was, like, burrowing through the ground and...
Oh, okay, yeah.
After those really, was it just me or was that those scenes when she like shouted like to the army like really awkward? They're like 2 football fields apart. She's like, "I will defend this land," and they're like, "No, no, you won't." Like everything's funny from a distance, so I just couldn't take those parts seriously. Be gone from this place now. No.
Nah.
Nah, I'm good.
Now, on second thought, stabby.
We want your shiny stuff. But the protectors will arise to defend this It was just people writing melodrama as well as they could.
They're like, we need to test our iron swords on something. Bring out something for your fat asses so we can stab it.
So when we get to that inner secret army we keep hearing about.
Maybe that's what they were trying to get to. Whatever those little things were eating.
Yeah, well, they like hinted that there was like some kind of like gem pool. But so I don't even know. They even like one time. This is me being like really overcritical, but at one point they referred to Maleficent as a pixie and not a fairy. So I assume that's why she was just in charge, and all the other fairies, all they had were like baking powers.
It's a useless fairy.
Well, they did it. I will summon the tree guards. We'll go make pies and cakes. Okay, well, great. I hope we win, or else the party's not going to be that great.
It's like the whole movie turns out to just be the origin story of how they got baking powder because it came from baking powers.
You know what I would have preferred? I would have preferred that Robin Williams did mocap and played the three fairies. Just in Mrs. Doubtfire the whole time.
I would have liked that better too.
Can we talk about those three stupid fairies?
We'll definitely, yeah. We'll throw all of these kind of in with the creatures because I'll let you go first though.
All right. I really hated those stupid fairies.
Thank God. So did I.
I think they dumbed them down way too much.
Were they not like that in Sleeping Beauty?
I don't remember.
No,
all I remember is her sleeping in the original.
Well, the problem in the original, so in original one, well, I should say in this one, Maleficent kind of plays the role that the fairies do, because they take her away out of the kingdom and they hide her and protect her, but like they kind of open her up to this world and like they're fairy godmothers. Like fairy godmothers do nothing but good things for you. They're these like super awesome forces in your life. And then my big thing with them in this is they have to be like the most neglectful fucking fairies in the whole
Yeah, they left
world.
the baby outside.
Immediately when they got her, they put her down.
Well, this is off to a great start.
Right. They put her down, they get bigger, and then they go into the fucking shack by themselves.
They just do nothing. What are they doing in there? I hope they're fighting something unbelievably evil and dangerous. Otherwise, they're just pointless characters.
And you know what another little plot hole thing throughout this movie is that I didn't just think about until right now? Stefan thinks, okay, we've got this curse. So let's get rid of all the spinning wheels. Makes sense. All right. Yeah, no spinning wheels. She can't prick her finger on one. All right. And she needs to go live in some other fucking area for 16 years. Why?
Stefan doesn't believe in half measures.
She is really in danger here, so let's move her completely away from civilization and all of our army that can protect them.
Why don't you just put metal gloves on her 18th birthday?
Yeah, seriously.
Like, how hard is this? Just lock her in a room.
Right.
Put her to sleep then. Give got a bunch of that rapey sleep juice.
the toy tie-ins for this are going to be hilarious.
This week at McDonald's.
Rapey sleep juice beauty in this.
Well, if you could get it when he was a peasant, I assume it's probably around. Yeah, that whole part, because I thought they really made it, because I think on paper, a curse that lets your daughter be beautiful and live a normal life until she's 16, then she'll fall asleep. Oh my God, you're gonna kill her? No, she'll just be asleep. She's not dead. I'm not a monster. Like, I feel like they did a good job of selling that, but they really didn't sell that spindle thing. Like, they just burned them all and shut the door and just left them all there.
Right. And it's like, well, you couldn't have just given them away.
Burn them more.
Or, you know what you could do? If you keep her in the castle, you raise her for 15 years of, hey, whatever you do, don't ever touch a fucking spinning wheel because there was this witch that fucking cursed you, and if you do, you'll fucking die.
No, stop smiling. I'm being serious.
But spinning wheels.
Why don't you just teach her to not touch sharp objects?
Right, yeah, you could just do that too. Sure as fuck the fairies didn't, the way how neglectful they are.
They did.
Yeah, I thought she would have touched one there.
They probably would have given it to her.
Yeah,
Here,
not back
hold this
in
for a
the
second.
super safe castle.
Yeah, right. What weren't you supposed to do? I don't know. Help us with the sewing. They were
It was
just
supposed to
useless. And
be.
I thought they were like really strange looking when they were small too.
Oh yeah, I did not like these fairies at all. I didn't like the characters. I didn't like the looks of them. I thought that they were annoying as hell.
I don't like
Especially
how
the
they look.
one,
I don't like how they sound.
the one of them, the God, I knew the names when they were saying it throughout the movie, and I
Which color?
blue.
Oh,
Blue
the
is creepy.
butterfly one?
The blue I really couldn't stand because it seemed like all she ever did was laugh this really obnoxious laugh.
She was supposed to be the zany one.
Really? I thought they were all just supposed to be brain dead.
I don't know. I thought the green one was supposed to be like the dumb Sarah Michelle Gellar one. Like she
Well,
she didn't even give her a wish. How about she has calluses on all her fingers? How about she doesn't have fingers? That's
I
dumb.
wish
She's a
that
princess.
whenever you become close to a spinning wheel, you turn around and go away. Look at that. There
make her,
goes
make
the
her into the
fucking.
Thing from Fantastic Four.
But we had the one, the pink one that was really kind of like the. I guess you could say like the one that actually knew what the fuck she was supposed to be doing.
I think she was the leader.
Yeah,
Of all
Matriarch.
them. The
and
older one.
she was kind of annoying, but I mean, she wasn't as bad as the other two. And then the complete brain dead idiot, and then the one that just snickered a lot.
But I think the problem there is this is getting there was no like at that point in the movie there was no plot. Like it was just things happening for Maleficent to watch, so she kind of started warming up to the little girl. Like it was just a good half hour of like, bye godmothers, walks in the woods, pan back to Maleficent watching through the trees with her eyes wide open, like,
What's gonna happen to this baby now that I can save her from,
Flashlight.
even though I don't
Like
like
it
her?
was just like I mean to me that was probably the slowest part. There was like a good half hour there where it's just like fairies and Aurora, that fucking smile, and then a little bit of Maleficent.
And if their job is supposed to be to protect this baby at like all costs, where to the point where they think that if something happens to her, the king is gonna fucking kill them, and they're like, yeah, go play near the fucking cliff. That's fine.
Go crazy.
Meanwhile, we'll sit here and throw flour at each other, and here's your birthday cake.
Cake powers.
Might be poisoned. We don't know.
Hey, they only get to be useful like twice a year: Christmas and birthday. Maybe Halloween.
Maybe April Fools.
Maybe April Fools. Probably Easter.
I'll tell you what. You know why they probably kept,
Definitely Valentine's Day.
Good call.
they probably kept doing such a bad job because they were getting false recognition for everything. Because they'd bake a dumbass birthday cake, and Aurora would just be like, "Isn't that lovely? Thank you guys. I love it. This is the best tasting cake ever." Oh, but your other ones were the best tasting cake ever as well. And they're like, "Oh, we can fucking bake cakes well. Awesome. Why don't you go play with this box cutter or something?"
She kind of reminds me of the girls from that dude's shack north of the wall in Game of Thrones. Where like they've never experienced everything, so they like everything.
Reference is totally over my head. I've never seen.
Oh, you gotta see Thrones. Have you not seen Thrones?
Nope.
Oh, you would have been better off watching 5 minutes of Game of Thrones on repeat than seeing this movie for 2 hours. Like any 5 minutes.
It's usually either someone naked or dying.
Mm-hmm. It's true. There's a lot more references.
Or a
like that.
combination of both.
Or a combination of the two. Dying naked.
What, you mean to tell me that's not happening in Maleficent?
Well,
You don't know what those little troll things are up to all the time.
There's so many of them.
Those hideous little fucks.
It's like a combination of Dolby the house elf and those stupid Furbies.
Oh God. Now
Little
I'm not
bit
gonna be able to see that.
I think I buried my Furby. It wouldn't stop talking.
I lit mine on fire.
Those both
Kill it,
sound like
kill it,
awesome
fire.
ideas. I should have gotten a Furby just to do both.
My boyfriend actually still has a Furby in the room, and it's freaky.
They're trying to bring him back.
Yeah, he has the new one because he found it in the street, and for some
Man,
reason
you
he
think
decided
Hollywood's
to
out
keep
of
it.
ideas? Where's the fucking toy company that they're rebooting Furby?
God, they're gonna do a movie, aren't they?
As if we didn't have enough nightmares, you know.
Well, in a world where Smurfs 2 grosses more than Green Lantern, anything's possible.
I can see it now. Furby starring Taylor Kitsch. We'll give him
Starring-
another shot. John Carter Duh, that's a shame.
Man, that poor guy's career. Starring Jaden Smith as the Black Furby. When he's done, did you see he's playing Trayvon Martin?
No, Samuel L. Jackson as a Black Furby.
All right, maybe I would
Shut
watch
the fuck
that.
up.
I would probably watch that movie then.
Yeah, I'd watch that movie. I mean, I would have watched this movie if Samuel L. Jackson was Maleficent. Oh, hell no, you just took my wings. That'd be over in 10 minutes. You just storm the castle.
If he would have been one of those little troll things, that would have upped their ante. That would have been cool.
You know, honestly, where the fuck was that whole army when she was storming the... You remember that time when she had like 9 tree dudes and they just destroyed like just huge legions of humans?
Yeah, and like one swoop.
Yeah, that movie probably should have been over in like 8 minutes.
To just be like, yo, a couple tree guys, can you go like kill fucking everybody in this castle?
She would have rode in the castle on her fucking grass snake thing, been like, what's up, dude? Because apparently dismembered wings can be reattached.
Well, I don't think we need to start going through the logic of the movie when we've got a bunch of other stuff happening.
That's true. I'm just hating to hate at this point.
So, creatures, I'm going total miss here. Because not only did I hate the fairies, not only did I hate the little troll things, not only did I hate the other fairies and the other weird-ass things that were popping up here and there, but I didn't like the tree guys either.
Wow.
That's something that I've always criticized the second Lord of the Rings movie for, because fucking trees in that one too. And that's probably something that I'm going to be bringing back when we review Guardians of the Galaxy. I'll be like, another fucking tree. Jesus Christ. There's up with these talking trees in movies now.
Goddamn kids and your talking trees.
Right. Let's just make a Pokemon movie about fucking Bellsprout for the whole thing. And just talking trees the whole fucking time.
Sudowoodo. There's a tree Pokemon.
There you go. Sudowoodo. He's actually kind of cool. If they were all Sudowoodo in this movie, I'd probably like that better. So I'm giving it a miss. Caitlin, what are you giving the creatures / fairies /
Furby troll
mini-me things?
Complete miss.
Tom?
I am going to obviously disagree and say I like the tree army, partially just because they kicked all these dumb people's asses, and I really wish they would have come back and done it again. But as for the little mutant Eeyore chubby things, just really horrible. Where's the Disney magic?
Can we just like refer to them as Danny DeVito's?
Someone should have Danny DeVito those character designs.
God, now I want to see Danny DeVito and Sam Jackson play those characters.
You should have done a fan cast.
Some
I would
weird
pay a lot of
crossover.
money for that.
All right, so we knocked out Maleficent, we knocked out Stefan, we knocked out Aurora and all her smiling, giggly, bubbliness. Creatures are out of the way. We've got Diaval. We didn't really talk about him too much, which that wasn't his name in Sleeping Beauty. I actually looked that up when I was going through some random facts. But they switched it because they were just like, it sounds kind of more like devil that way, and it's not Diablo. Apparently that was his name.
Oh.
I thought that he was kind of cool. He was really on this path of becoming a creepy stalker, and they ended up making him charming instead. And there's one particular scene in the movie where I was just like, if they didn't pull that off, it would have been really weird. And that's when he says to Aurora, like, I've been watching you since you were little, and then he kisses her hand or something like that.
Oh, the worst. If
If they would have made him creepier, at that point, that would have just been very awkward. Like, I've been watching you since you were a little girl.
it's that Edward Cullen thing again. I've just been watching you sleep. For how fucking long? All night. Oh my god.
Oh, that's great. Oh, I
You're
love
so
that you're
dreamy.
watching me sleep.
Cue Sting. Every breath you take.
YouTube gives us a copyright ever.
That was out of key. They won't know it's me. They won't know it's Sting.
So I liked him. He's got a hit for me. I thought that he had some pretty funny lines throughout the whole thing. I thought that using the crow for some kind of reaction shots was kind of funny here and there. Some of them didn't hit as much. The part with Aurora's gonna fall off the cliff, and he's like, "Oh, I can't watch," and whatever, and you know that she's not gonna just like splat and die.
No matter how much you want her to splat and die.
She'll still be smiling.
Yeah, and they just find her face on a rock.
It'll be like
Wear it like Joker's mask.
the end of Batman '89, where the Joker is still
Yeah.
smiling after falling. Aurora's still smiling. They're like, the hell, she's dead. Yeah, but that was a fun fall.
A fucked up curse.
So he gets a hit from me. Caitlin, hit or miss?
I loved him. I think he was my favorite character. Yeah, he had a lot of funny lines, especially the one that he gets turned into a dog. Or, no, a wolf. That was funny. So, I give him a hit.
Tom?
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I know I mentioned we were off there that I just loved how much he looked like a more handsome Stephen Moffat of Doctor Who fame. And I was really pulling for him to be the unsuspecting true love kiss at the end.
Yes! Seriously, that's what I thought.
Really had my fingers crossed for him. Because, like, I mean, honestly, he probably had an equal amount of dialogue to Maleficent. So to me, he was by far my favorite character. He was the most interesting. He had a nice little character arc. He had cool powers, even though he was the most fucking useless dragon. He was probably about as useful as those dragons from PBS would have been in that fight. It took him like 3 seconds to get chained up. Like, how did you just make a mess of yourself like that?
That's funny that you brought that up about the kiss thing, though, because I started thinking that throughout the movie, too. When it seemed like he was the only one that was, like, supportive of her. I was just like, don't tell me she's going to end up making out with a crow. That's going to
be anything. He could be an octopus.
She'll be like, oh, it's fantastic. We'll never run out of things to do together.
But I guess...
think of the sex position.
She's like, what's better than 2 hands? 8.
This is kind of weird.
We're on to something, guys.
I think we need to rewrite this movie, and we need to do Samuel L. Jackson and Danny DeVito, and just constantly following Laura around.
Hentai.
Yeah, some kind of weird Japanese director can do this because they love the whole sex with an octopus thing.
It's gonna do great overseas, guys. Right. I feel like the new Pacific Rim.
We'll try to get Angelina Jolie and she'll be involved, and she'll just be like, "What?"
Get some washed up chick to be the princess. Get like who's that famous girl from American Pie that was in Sharknado?
Tara Reid.
Yeah, that's it. She'll be princess. She'll be Sleeping Beauty. She needs a paycheck. She's like what, like 20 grand?
You're pretty sure she wouldn't just be another one of the trolls? She could be like that one dumbass pixie or something. The blue one.
No, but I guess at this point, the unsuspecting kind of like best friend is like romantic comedy ending where the sidekick best friend guy's the true love has been overdone.
Yeah.
So instead, Disney wanted to rip off of itself and give it the same ending as Frozen.
I never saw Frozen.
You're not
How?
I have it downloaded, by which I mean paid, sure.
From iTunes.
Yes. But, yes, downloaded from iTunes, yes.
But don't you just want to build a snowman?
Everybody's been making this joke, and I don't get it.
Oh my god, you need to see it.
People should be terrified of Frozen. Do you think that the 7th largest company in the world just happens to make a movie about endless winter during the worst winter of the last 20 years? Disney has a weather machine. Better hope they don't come out with a movie called like Summer Heat.
Right.
It's horrible.
If they come out with like a hurricane one, I'm like running.
Yeah, see? Exactly.
Disney bought the rights of Twister. And they're coming out with...
oh god.
Just go to Canada.
Teddy Twister, a new take on the tale. With the... He's not as powerful as the other tornadoes are.
They can do a plane's emergency response tie-in. Except it's really grounded in realism.
God, how awful would that be if they did like the emergency response thing and they're like, because of a wildfire in California that we're starting next month.
Well, then in the movie Planes, they got to transport just mutilated bodies. And what's that smell, Zumi? That's the smell of rotting flesh.
That's the smell of a huge box office taking.
Why is that one smiling?
Oh, God.
Yeah,
now I can imagine Aurora being in the middle of trapped forest, big forest fire, and she's just like, you could roast a lot of marshmallows today. I completely lost our train of thought here. What were we talking about? We went from
Theobald for a minute. I think I tried to bring it back around to the crow guy, and then we just tangented again.
Somehow we got into Frozen when we were talking.
Well, when we talk about the ending of the movie, I'll explain where I'm coming from with that. But
That's true.
Caitlin can talk about the bird first.
Wait, we didn't already?
Oh no, she did. She mentioned the bird. The bird was the word.
God.
What
Good
is
luck
this?
getting that song out of your head.
Is
Not
this
that
about
song.
Frozen? Or is this from Maleficent that I didn't pay attention to?
The crow guy. I don't actually know the crow guy's name. I've just been making noises whenever I say his name. Is his name Theobald?
I thought
Yeah,
it was Theobald, and apparently it's spelled Diaval. Diaval.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
I've
Theobald.
been way off. I've been saying it with a TH.
I thought it was Theobald, and
We all sound like a bunch of old moms. Oh, that character. What's his name?
What's his name? Theodore.
Gandolfini? It's Dumbledore, Mom. God damn it.
It's a Gandolfini.
Yeah, my mom. Well, my mom thinks Lord of the Rings is about Ego and his friend Gandolfini.
Just tie that into Sopranos.
Yeah, exactly. Or she said, in Dusseldorf, the small town in Germany. That's the principal of Hogwarts.
So, all right, Crow Guy, Theobald, Theodore,
Do we have to talk about Philip?
Old Teddy. Yeah, let's throw something out about Philip there.
He even has a boy band name.
Philip the Mimbo.
Philip the Pointless.
He's like, I wanted to get to the castle. Don't know where that is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna ride my fucking horse full speed through the woods until I find something.
Right. Hey, I woke up. I'm in the castle. That's where I'm supposed to be. Cool. So, what's up with the sleeping chick? Kind of hot. Sort of want to bang.
Yeah, but he took forever trying to kiss her.
Yeah.
He was
Well,
nervous.
to be fair, I mean, that's an awkward situation where you got three little pixie things and they're like, "Can you just fucking kiss her already?" And he's like, "But she's unconscious and
His
no
balls
means
haven't
no."
dropped
And
yet. He doesn't know if he likes girls.
he's like, "I haven't even practiced roofing yet. I don't want to skip the next level."
The king said you have to give them the juice first.
This is a horrible rewrite that we're making.
It can't get much worse.
Yeah, it can.
We can make the people that throw mud better.
We're saying that now. There's still time in this podcast. It'll get worse.
Well, like, how do you describe Philip? Like, Philip is a prince who wants to get to the castle because...
You know what's the best way to describe him?
Tell me.
Smiley. They attract each other based off of their magnetic smiles. Because really,
Like-
I mean, he doesn't really do that much else than smile too.
They're like a good commentary on society. See, kids, beautiful people are nothing but smiles and bullshit.
I bet there's
Yeah,
a whole section of the audience though that are just like, "Oh, isn't Philip cute?"
I like that he's like the only guy that was like wearing medieval clothes. Like he had like the poofy sleeves and like was definitely had tights on and shit. Like nobody else was dressed like that. Like all those mason guys that were working all night building the iron pointy things were like sweaty, like missing an eyeball.
They were straight out of Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, essentially. They just took all those guys, kept them in costume, quick filmed a movie.
We already
It's all
established
Helen
that
Bonham Carter's relatives.
the King was right out of the new Ninja Turtles movie.
Dude, that armor though. Come on. Random spikes on the back. Why?
Just in case.
Tax from above.
Right. He's just gonna turn into a fucking bleed ball from Marvel.
All he needed was pockets on his quads, and he would have been set. Straight from the 90s.
So
I think Philip. You know what's funny enough? I think Philip was fan service.
why makes you say that? Why?
Well, because in the
what makes you
original
say that?
movie, I don't remember a lot of it, but I remember so she falls asleep. Maleficent takes over the palace and surrounds the palace with thorns. So Philip is drawn like a Bruce Timm superhero with like really skinny legs and just a massive chest.
Yeah, completely
Like, what
top
seems to be
heavy.
the problem? And they're like, oh, this beautiful girl is trapped in a tower. So they give him They give him a magic sword that like glows white, so it kind of looks like a lightsaber, but different. So really awesome. and he jumps on his white horse and he fights the dragon, fights his way through the thorns, which granted thorns aren't the most impressive villain, but it's a plus. So he falls his way in the castle.
It's
Then
a
he slays
one-dimensional villain
Maleficent.
for a one-dimensional hero.
What?
One-dimensional villain for one-dimensional hero.
Exactly.
You've got muscles. You're a good guy. Go stab things.
At least he's consistent.
I was tying back my little funny, oh my god, all the men are bastards kind of comment. I was really hoping that after they established that Philip was a complete idiot, that he would have some kind of redemption, and that there would be like, because even though we went through the whole thing, we were making fun of Aurora because she was all optimistic and everything. There is one scene in the movie where she gets all upset and she leaves, so it's clearly she's not just this completely brainwashed person. And Stefan goes from being, nice guy to being heartless, insane maniac, and they kind of build, some different character arcs for some people, but at that point, I was really hoping that Prince Philip would have had some kind of a spot where he kind of like sided with Maleficent and Aurora, and he was just kind of like, "Yo, look, I'm gonna fight against the king's people, and I'll go do that, and that'll help you guys escape," or something like that. Like he didn't need to save the day. He didn't need to be the person who kills Stefan or anything like that. But if he could have done something, that would have been good.
Yeah, I agree.
Like,
Yeah, just
even if he would have like tripped one of the bad guys or something like that, instead of just kind of
as opposed to nothing at all.
popping up at the ending and being like, "So all that shit done with? Cool. Wanna marry each other?" So I don't know. I'm giving him a miss, but I actually kind of like the actor that was doing it, Brendan Thwaites, I want to say his name is, and I'd like to see him in other things. I think that's not necessarily his fault that the character was kind of like that. They just wrote it that way. But he gets a miss from me. Caitlin, hit or miss for Prince Philip.
Miss. I
Tom,
feel like he
you
didn't
want to?
belong in that movie. The actor.
Tom, hit or miss?
Just calling him a miss means that at least they tried. I think he was just pointless. Like I think like come on like a dud, like a misfire or a backfire. Just completely useless.
So one thing that I want to say that's a complete hit for me, and this isn't dealing with characters and stuff. We kind of knocked out a lot of that already. But this is just something that I didn't expect that I would end up liking because I didn't even know that it existed. And that's as soon as the end credits go on, they start playing this version of Once Upon a Dream by Lana Del Rey. Now, I like a couple of different Lana Del Rey songs, and as soon as it started playing, I was just like, this is actually kind of interesting. And apparently I'm not the only person who thought that it was Angelina Jolie that was singing it. Now, according to IMDb, which of course is not the most reliable website in the world, Angelina Jolie, personally picked Lana Del Rey to sing this song. And maybe that's one of the reasons why, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I'm just speculating. But I thought it was really interesting that they took what is typically some kind of a fanciful, optimistic kind of a song, and they made it really eerie and dark and depressing and odd. And not that I liked it for that reason specifically, but I think that it's actually a really interesting song, and I've listened to it quite a bit. Now it's over 24 hours since I've seen this movie, but maybe I've listened to it like 10 times or so since then, and I really like that a lot. I liked the score throughout the movie too, but music in general, definitely a hit for me. Caitlin, what did you think about music?
I didn't really pay attention to music this time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know why.
Go back and listen to that song at some point, and eventually let me know what you think. Tom?
For scoring for the movie itself, I didn't really notice it, but I guess the end song wasn't that bad. I mean, like you said, it was interesting how they could really make it haunting, especially I guess the way that because Maleficent is a pretty dark story. Because it's really all of this starts with her love affair gone wrong. So like the lyrics that She walked with him once upon a dream, and it's that I know you, but she thought she knew him, but she clearly didn't. I guess I thought it was interesting. I thought it sounded like Jolie too. To be honest, I could have been convinced it was her.
A lot of people seem to have thought that. So I don't know if
Yeah,
they were going for that specifically, but if they were, kudos, they pulled it off.
yeah, for sure. I don't. Yeah, I really have no idea what they were going for, but it was one of the more interesting components, definitely. I mean,
Did
I guess it's
you
not too high of praise considering what I've been talking about this movie for the last hour, but
did you pay attention to the score?
um, not really. I didn't like much of it, but to me, this movie lacked a lot of tension, so I didn't. I usually assume that means the score was weak to an extent, so
Fair enough. I only have one more note that I wanted to bring up, and then I'll be passing it to you guys to throw out some extra stuff too. The special effects in the 3D, unimpressive. Totally not worth spending the extra money, in my mind. Not only is it annoying for movie theaters to be charging that much, because it should not be $32 for a small popcorn and 2 tickets, but I don't remember more than one scene in the entire movie that was actually in 3D. Everything else just blended in, and that's not good enough. When I go to see a 3D movie, I expect it to be in 3D, and I expect to see a lot of different stuff that's happening in 3D. And now I'm not saying that they need to play up the 3D angle and show a ton of scenes where the whole point is if you weren't watching it in 3D, it would be terrible, because that's really annoying. And a lot of the movies that I've seen recently, it couldn't have mattered whatsoever if it was 3D or not. Captain America, I saw it, the non 3D version. Not a single time throughout the whole movie did I think, oh man, I should have seen this in 3D. And maybe that's even for the benefit. Spider-Man, some good 3D stuff. X-Men, I really couldn't tell. And I saw RoboCop in non 3D and didn't miss it at all. So this would have been a movie where if I wouldn't have seen this in 3D, it would have been the exact same movie for me. So unimpressed. Should probably get nominated for special effects because there's probably not going to be that much that is competition for it. But damn sure should not win. Miss for me. Caitlin?
I am usually against 3D movies. The price you mentioned, yeah, it's really expensive. And mostly movies don't really go into too much 3D detail. So I would never actually see a movie in 3D. I think it's a big waste.
It really seems like it has been a big waste the last couple times I've seen them. And really, like $13.50? I remember
Yeah,
when it
that's
used to be
ridiculous.
$5.50 to see a movie. God damn it. Too old. Tom?
yeah, I've really just given up on 3D mostly ever since Avatar failed to impress me, and that's supposed to be kind of the bastion of 3D filmmaking. I just gave up on it because I don't really think it adds too much, and it sounds like I didn't really miss anything. So I can't even say I tried.
All right, well, that knocks out all the stuff that I had planned on talking about. So I'm sure there are some other things that we can mention as well. Caitlin, do you have any topics you want to throw out there that we'll go back and forth about?
Uh, Not really. I think we mentioned basically everything. Like, what would be your cast choice for each character, I guess?
Got to go with Angelina Jolie on that. She nailed that.
Yeah, definitely.
What about you, Tom?
For Maleficent, I mean, like I said, I read somewhere she was just born for that part. I could have seen like maybe the girl that played Hit Girl for Aurora, just to try to have someone with a little more character, a little more spunk.
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I thought they could have definitely chosen a better actress for Aurora. I didn't
I mean,
like
I
that one.
thought she wasn't. I didn't think she was gorgeous, which I guess is a nice sentiment. Um, but again, I think she just had no script to work with either, so it's hard. It's hard to really like her for any reason. So it's hard. It's hard to even pick a cast for that. But I thought everybody else was. I mean, I thought I'm blanking on his name. The guy from District 9 who played Stefan.
Charlton
I didn't know
Copley.
he was in that movie, and if I knew before I went into it, I'd have thought he was a strange choice. But he was excellent.
Yeah, if you would have said to me he's playing some kind of a former love interest who turns into a king or whatever, I would have been like, the creepy looking guy? Was an alien? Is he turned into an alien in this one too? But he pulled that off. I'm really at a loss to figure out who I would recast for anybody else. Like you guys were
I
saying,
really just think my biggest beefs are with the script, not with any of the real performances. I mean, even because it's even kind of unfair to blame the fairies because they just had nothing to work with when they were on screen.
you know what? Maybe I would, yeah, maybe I would replace them.
But for what reason? Like, they didn't even have anything to do. I mean, who makes a really good? I mean, the mom from Precious. Who makes a good neglectful fairy godmother?
Now I'm at the point where I think that some of the only
Wait.
things. Go ahead.
just put Lindsay Lohan.
Yeah, might as well.
That's neglectful enough.
Well, see, now I'm thinking what we need to get into when it comes to the fan cast territory. We got to bring back that Danny DeVito and Sam Jackson.
Yes, they definitely need to be in this movie.
We could get Timothy Spall. He could be one of the dwarf
I think
things.
Nick Cage would love to be the king.
Nick Cage would love to be freaking anything in this movie.
Or even, who would be the king? I bet Liam Neeson would have done it. That guy's doing anything these days. Even if we had someone in the king's army that was like kind of like in the Gestapo, you could probably get Robert De Niro. That guy's just flushing his credentials down the toilet.
Well, if we got to get somebody who's in a Gestapo, we got to get the guy who's playing Baron von Strucker, because now it looks like he's only playing that character. That would be pretty interesting, though. If anybody has any other suggestions for who could play Maleficent, at the very least.
The only one I could have seen was who was the one from? Hang on, Kate Blanchett.
Oh God, no.
Only because
I
I think
stand her.
she just looks like a bitch to me. But apparently something I wanted to bring up. Apparently she is the wicked aunt, whatever it is, in the Cinderella movie next summer.
Makes sense. Because if it wasn't going to be her, it was going to be Tilda Swinton. Because they play the same character and everything.
Yeah, pretty much.
I could have lived with Idina Menzel as Maleficent.
Oh, there you go.
Who is that?
Idina Menzel. Or wait, what was the spoof of her name?
Adeline Nazem.
Yeah.
She sang all those songs you loved from Frozen, Tony.
Yeah, her name's not ringing a bell, so it must be because of that.
She's mostly on Broadway. Did you see Enchanted?
Nope.
Oh, come on. Now I look like the idiot. You didn't see Enchanted, other guy?
Haven't seen Wicked. Haven't seen.
Yeah, she made a name for it. She was in Rent. I think she was in a movie of Rent as well.
Haven't seen the movie Rent. Haven't seen the play Rent. Don't pay rent.
Oh my God.
Never rented anything.
Yeah, haven't rented a movie in a long time.
Rent's the one about Blockbuster, right?
Not anymore.
Rent's on Netflix. You need to go watch it.
Do I really have to? Because I watched Chicago and I hated it.
No, you need to watch Rent. It's way better.
I did My Fair Lady in high school and couldn't stand that either.
I couldn't stand being there.
No, this is something for the people that are interested in the Broadway stuff and why we don't do that much on Fanboys. My experience with My Fair Lady, literally, I went in for the audition. I had done plays before in high school. I went in and I said to them, "Is there any way I can get a part where I don't sing?" And they went, "What? We didn't cast you in anything yet." I'm like, "Oh, you're going to cast me in something, I know. But can I just please not get a fucking singing one? Because I really don't want to."
Tree number 4.
We don't even know if you can sing or not. I'm like, I know I can't sing, and I don't want to sing. Everybody else is like, oh, I hope I get the lead singer and stuff. No, just give it to them. I don't want it. And I get the casting call sheet back later, and it's like, Tony Mango, Doolittle, like 4 songs or whatever. I'm like, son of a bitch.
Dude, chorus teachers love when people take interest. It doesn't matter if it's for the wrong reasons.
I'm like, guys, can I like not sing during my songs? So I am not a follower of musicals for the most part. And
I saw Spider-Man on Broadway, and now I know not to trust anything from nerd culture adapted onto the stage.
Hey.
Spider-Man
on Broadway. Seen Holy Musical Batman?
No, but I'm still recovering from Spider-Man was so bad, you guys. It was just so bad.
You guys ever heard of Star Kid?
Yes.
Okay, you need to go watch Holy Musical Batman and A Very Party Musical.
The Potter one was good. I saw that one. I say foreshadowing a lot in the theater now. Foreshadowing.
So I just looked up that Idina Menzel.
Mm-hmm.
I could see it. She looks really familiar, but I don't know who she looks similar to. So whoever she looks similar to, I could see her play the part too.
They gave Jolie an EP credit on this too, and we were mentioning off the air that one of her daughters was in it. So I wonder how much of this was her spurring this to get this put out on the screen.
Well, hasn't she been kind of inactive lately?
I thought so for the last couple of years, and this was her biggest opener ever.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
I mean, she did what? She did Salt like 2 years ago.
It even beat out like Tomb Raider.
I think so. That might have been worldwide though, because it did pretty good money overseas.
Yeah, she might have just been approaching this as like a labor of love, and that would have explained why she was such a big part of it and everything.
I feel like I saw the first pictures for this last summer.
I lost track. I had no idea when I saw that.
Everything rolls out so quick anymore, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Speaking of, this is a complete side note when it comes to it, but they ran a little commercial ahead of time for the Blu-ray of the Lego Movie, and one of the people sitting around me in the audience for Maleficent just said, "Didn't that just come out like last month?" So, that's the culture we live in now, where it's like, I don't even remember when that did come out, but I think that came out in like November or so. And things come out so quick, you lose track of it. And the things that are supposed to
they
come
ask
out
you
quicker,
to buy the
they
ticket
don't.
if you want to, like, it's something like buy the ticket for $10 or get the ticket and you'll have pre-ordered the Blu-ray for $30. Like, they try to do it right there. Like, you haven't even seen the thing yet.
Yeah.
It's a strange. I know there was a good time, like 2009. People thought theaters were on the way out.
And they're still kicking.
Yeah, still kicking.
So is the Pirate Bay.
Yep.
So, Tom, any other topics you want to throw out there for us to talk about?
I was just gonna say the one thing that's kind of interesting to me is the rise of the sort of gritty, modernized princess genre. Which, so you had Alice in Wonderland in like 2008 with Johnny Depp not playing a character inspired by Keith Richards, and that made pretty good money. I know they're doing a sequel for that. Then we had Snow White and the Huntsman last year. Then we had Maleficent this year. And then before my movie, I saw an incredibly underwhelming teaser trailer for Cinderella, which comes out next summer. Which I'm actually, and I'm probably one of the few men saying this, I'm actually kind of excited for that movie because the guy who played Robb Stark in Game of Thrones is playing Prince Charming.
Who's playing Cinderella?
I have no idea. But Kate Blanchett's the bad guy. So you'll like it for that.
Playing a guy in this one too.
Strange. It's an interesting little genre seeing pop up. Especially at the end of Maleficent, we didn't really talk about it. Oh, so Tony, you never got to be enlightened. We're just going to go spoiler crazy here for a second, if that's cool.
Does somebody freeze at the end of Frozen?
Well, the sister gets cursed, and the only way to break the curse is a true love's kiss. So she's like, essentially, she turns into a rogue. Her hair is like slowly getting more and more white, and they're
she gets less and less screen time as the movie
goes. This guy that proposed to her, and essentially she gets there, and the guy's like, "Nah, I was just kidding. I don't really like you." And she freezes, but only true love's kiss can save her. So her sister gives her a kiss on the cheek, and it wakes her up. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's so heartwarming," because it's like, people who say that Disney gives women a kind of a false view of the world. Like, look, it's the power of family, and like love can exist like that too. And then Maleficent, it was just the same thing. So I was like really disappointed. But I guess it's again, like I said with Snow White and with this one, there's kind of a couple cool little action scene CGI things that I guess I'm kind of interested in seeing Cinderella, especially because one of my favorite Disney characters is Gus Gus the Fat Mouse. But yeah, I don't know. It's strange seeing that this thing's kind of ramping up like the superhero genre is.
Well, what are your thoughts about that, Caitlin? Do you think that these movies are a positive, negative, good or bad, depending on the movie, that kind of thing?
And it's definitely positive. And I really like how Disney's going more for, they're straying away from the Prince Charming whole thing. They're really giving the female more power.
I haven't seen any of these movies except for Maleficent. I didn't see Snow White and the Huntsman. I haven't seen that. God, what's the
So
name
what
of
have you seen?
it? I
Where'd
keep
you
watching
been?
other stuff.
You should. In Snow White, Kristen Stewart was amazing. In Snow White, she made that face. You know that one she makes the whole time?
Oh yeah, that's right, Kristen Stewart.
Really impressive.
Yeah, I'm sure she pulled that off really well.
Well, actually, Chris Hemsworth was kind of cool in that. He's the huntsman. So just dude with a lot of axes.
What is that other movie that had? Um, I keep wanting to call it Little Red Riding Hood, but it wasn't called that.
It was called like Red Riding Hood or something
It
like
was
that.
like some
Oh,
portmanteau
Red?
or something like that. Just
Isn't it-
Red?
Maybe. I don't know.
But
I think that might have been. It might have just been called Red or something. Or maybe I'm just thinking of the Bruce Willis.
no, it was called Red Riding Hood with Amanda Seyfried.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay. I didn't see that one either, but that's another one that seems like it's kind of in this genre.
That was like a
Um,
pretty.
You
that's Gary
do all
Oldman,
day that
too.
you're not seeing any of these movies.
Fanboys work.
That was supposed to be a pretty big bomb though. Yeah, that movie. Well, it had a $42 million budget and an alleged $42 million budget and made $89 million.
Well, that's a bomb nowadays.
Well, they've already done this whole thing. I mean, for Once Upon a Time's going to what? Its fourth season.
Yep.
And Grimm got renewed, so this modernization of the classic fairy tales and stuff, I guess, is its own burgeoning thing. I just wish they would do Fables instead of all this other Disney stuff.
Well, what would you want to see out of those?
Well, I was talking about Fables, the Bill Willingham comic book series. If anyone hasn't read that, it's essentially there was a strange thing where ABC called Bill Willingham, who writes a series about all the public domain characters like Snow White, all the Snow White, Pinocchio, Cinderella, so all the Disney princesses who are all public domain, as well as a bunch of like folklore people like the Big Bad Wolf, are chased out of their magical lands and set up shop in New York, and it's like their story and then why they got chased out of the homelands. So Disney hired him to write a pilot. Then they took his script, kind of fired him, and said, "No, we're not doing this anymore." And in 2 years, Once Upon a Time came out without his attachment. I'll give that guy. That guy's got a lot of class because he didn't chew Disney out or anything. He just kind of rolled with it. Now they're making a game, and someone's talking about doing a movie because it's a Vertigo property, so it could be a DC movie.
Oh, so it won't happen?
What?
If it's a DC movie, then it won't happen.
Who knows at this point? I can't even begin to speculate at this point because I just have no idea what they're up to.
So, wrapping this all up here, our final thoughts. Movies, a hit or a miss overall. Caitlin?
Hit. Moral of the story. Revenge is sweet, but magic is better.
Tom?
Complete and utter miss.
What?
Lady gets really screwed over by society and then creepily stalks an infant that's neglected by her impromptu parents, and then she just kind of decides to make up when her wings are magically reattached. I think it's such a miss because they really set up an interesting premise. They found a take on Maleficent that could have been cool, and now, unless we get the movie we've been talking about made, we're never going to see it.
And I'm going to go just barely out of my comfort middle zone here. I'm going to say if I have to pick, which those are the rules that I put out for my own thing, so damn
Survey
past
says.
Tony. Very minimal hit.
Oh, come on!
The reason why is I went into this movie not wanting to see the movie. I thought that it was going to be a complete waste of time. I was not really expecting to like anything about it. I thought at the most maybe I would kind of like one scene or scenes or something, and I'd walk away and just kind of be like, yeah, total waste. That was a bomb. And I liked more of it than I thought that I was going to. I think if you go into this movie as a Disney fan, you're either going to love it or hate it, depending upon your reaction to stuff. I'm a big enough James Bond fan and comic book fan and a lot of these other kind of movies and stuff where I will go into those expecting certain things. And if it doesn't live up to that, that'll make the movie worse. So there's probably a big group of Disney people that are going into this and they're going, that's not what happens in Sleeping Beauty. Fuck this movie. Because I would do the same thing whenever, I watch Spider-Man 3, and it's like, this is garbage. That doesn't happen in the comic books, and so it's kind of a hit or miss depending on how you go into it, I think. And if you are looking for something, just for something to do, it's a good enough hit. If you are really in the mood to watch a good movie, nah, that's a miss. But, I'm in an optimistic mood. I'm going to give it that little bit of an edge towards a hit. And we are interested in to hear what you guys have to say about that. Tell us all the different stuff that we talked about today, what you think about it, whether you've got some casting decisions that you want to throw out there for if they ever had another version where it wasn't Angelina Jolie, or if you want to see some other people play alongside Danny DeVito and Sam Jackson for the Trolls. Tell us if you like the Trolls, by the way, and back Caitlin up on those, whether or not they're cute or a little pain in the asses.
Weird, Furby, Dolby crap.
Tell us if you like the trees, if you like the action, if you like the special effects. If you didn't like any of that stuff as well, leave those comments below. Tell us your thoughts on that. Tell us if you think it's a hit or a miss. And that'll be it for our review point here. One last thing of business to take care of per usual, and that's going to go around and give out some plugs. So, Tom, what's going on right now that you want people to check out?
Just that I'm a regular contributor to fanboysanonymous.com, and I'm also an editor for a film review website. So if you kind of like this review, they do reviews like this, but they go a little deeper into the story and stuff like that. It's Real Deal, real spelled like the movie, haha, REEL, realdealblog.com.
And Caitlin?
I got nothing.
Doing nothing with my life.
Someone please hire me. Seriously.
Well, per usual, guys, check out everything else that's coming your way from Fanboys Anonymous. Everybody else is going to be writing about different stuff. We always have more movie reviews coming out. Another episode of Review Point is going to be coming up next month. Not 100% sure what we're going to be reviewing, but we are eventually going to try to review Transformers. We're going to try to review Guardians of the Galaxy. We're going to do another episode of Fan Tracks. We're going to do more group meetings. We usually have our For Real Movie Club. Our other podcasts, such as The Daceman Show and the Game of Thrones podcast, Sand and Snow. All this stuff you guys can check out on fanboysanonymous.com. You can subscribe on iTunes and Stitcher as well. Like the Facebook page, follow the Twitter account, so on and so forth. On behalf of everyone on the panel, as well as all the fanboys and fangirls that couldn't be here tonight, thank you for listening and shooting the breeze with us. We hope you had fun. And that'll be it. I'm Tony Mango, and I'm a fanboy. See you next time, everybody.